are made him to introspect, observe, and appreciate the intricate details about people and situations that usually go unnoticed. And most of the things that you would hear from her would be delving around these points, maybe, and then obviously a lot of details and her thinking about life. After her schooling from Springdale School and graduation from St. Stephen's College, Delhi, she went up to pursue her master's in business administration from Britla Institute of Management and Tech. Her creativity found an outlet in a career in real estate development for over a decade before she decided to experiment teaching meditation and writing. And that's an interesting aspect. You can have a lot of questions there. How can somebody move a career from real estate to writing? Definitely, I would be one of them. Her first book, titled Let Go of Me, is a work of fiction and reveals the web of complex. And I'm sure most of you have already read about it and have tons of questions around that. It also deals with dynamic human interaction, emotions, which eventually find grounding in spirituality. Her second book, Kaivalya, which is the kind of prime theme of, delves into the subject of karma and liberation in a fictional format and has received recognition in the literary community. She now trains young, evolving minds in the field of creative writing and English communication skills. That also is something she'll be talking about that pursuit of her career during this discussion. Along with her, we have Mr. Kaushal Mahesh Gupta, who is also an avid reader and a book blogger at Eros and Fossil. He has been blogging for more than 10 years about various topics. His blog at www.erosandfossil.com is one of the India's leading book-related blogs. Apart from reading, Bollywood and cricket interest him. I think most of us are into that. With that, I'll hand it over to Mr. Gupta to take it forward.
Hey, thanks, Ramakant, for that introduction. Good evening, everyone. How about we start with a question for everyone? If in the comments you can start with the name of one of the books that you recently read, maybe everyone can just start typing in. Any
Mr.
of the
Gupta,
book that
can I just let people know about the platform a little bit,
Sure.
so
Okay.
that they can use the tools that we have here to make it more interactive.
Okay, sure. Yes.
My name is Babani, and I'm one of the core members at Nexternal. So Nexternal is an immersive events and conversational community platform. So we have built this platform to globally connect people, like events like this where we can really create an outreach, global outreach. That's our idea. So I will show you how to make the best use of the time here. So you can make this session very interactive. I'm sharing my screen, and on your screen you will see a raise hand feature. So the raise hand feature lets you come on video and ask questions to the panel here. If you don't want to come on video, then you can post your question on the chat. So you can see that you have this chat here, group chat, which is next to the smiley icon. And the smiley icons are just to sharing emotions, like cheering up or you like something, then use that definitely. There is also a tweet icon next to the event at the bottom right hand side. Please click that and tweet it. So people also who are on Twitter, they can click and join the event if they're active now. And finally, you also have direct messaging. If you want to ask a direct question, then you can do that. We are recording the session now. The session recording will be available at the end of the session. So when you raise hand, it will actually make you a presenter. So it will send us a request. And for now, we are not taking raise hands, but we will do it as the session progresses. Once we allow you to come on video, then you will see that see this message on your screen, and at that time you can allow your mic and camera. So you say allow, and then after that you will be coming on video. And finally, there are people who are in the session. You can click their profiles, and if you want to connect with them, then you can do that, and you can do that with the presenters here as well. So that's all. I will let Mr. Kaushal continue from here. Thank you.
Thanks, Bhavani. I think that was useful for most of them who are new here. Yeah, so back to the same question. Maybe we can start with you all just sharing the name of the one of the book that you recently read in the comments, and let us see what all we have been reading. So to update me, one of the recent book that I read was actually Kaivalya, a couple of weeks back. I'm looking for answers of other participants. I hope you all can see the chat. Okay, so there are people. Where we have started to get answers like economics. So, do more faster. Okay. Okay, I think we'll take up the comments as we go ahead. So the same question to you, ma'am. First of all, good evening and welcome to the conversation. Same question to you, which is the one book that you recently read or like or would you like to talk about?
Namaskar everyone. Nice to be here and nice to be able to talk to you all. Thank you, Kaushal, for hosting this event. I'm really looking forward to having this conversation. The latest book that I'm not finished with yet, and I'm going to take a long while reading, is The End of the Universe by Brian Greene. He's
Okay.
a theoretical physicist, and that's the science fiction kind of a book that I'm into these days.
Okay. Okay, that's nice. Okay. So I think we have close to 28 people who have joined in. I think we should start with the conversation that people have been waiting for. So I'll start with the set of questions that I have for you, ma'am. First of all, let us start with how your day has been going by so far. Anything that stood out during the day? Anything that made you excited about the day?
My day has been going fine so far, except that, a couple of days back, I just got my second vaccination, and that has showed some effects. And I've been kind of not exactly the kind of energetic person that I usually am. So I've been a little dull, but
Okay.
recovering now, so much better. And yes, in the morning I received, in fact, a review of a reader from of Kaivalya, and the person wrote to me that he had wished that I had written this book 10 years earlier, so that he wouldn't have to grapple with the concept of karma and reincarnation and get a very rudimentary picture of this whole thing in some, through some conversations with friends who knew even lesser, and he could have got a clearer picture of what all this really meant for him. So that
Right.
made me really smile, for the simple reason that a seed sprouts when it just has to. Even if you keep watering it and watering it, it will not sprout before it is time. So I couldn't have written this book earlier, and it couldn't have got out of me before it did.
Right. Right.
So yeah, so that's what something that made me smile in the morning.
Right, absolutely, and I totally agree that whatever you have written is from the fictional genre, but it talks about incarnations and constantly moving karmic, the karmic cycle that a lot of people have and carry on. For some, it might be just as fictional as the book, or for some people who relate to it or find some common base over there, they will definitely find more interesting aspects and perspectives, as I have been. So my second question to you is, how has the, apart from the wonderful review that you just spoke about the guy asking you that you should have written 10 years earlier, maybe how is the overall response to your second book has been, Kaivalya, which is your second book, has been?
Yeah, I think Kaushal, I've been writing in a genre which is not common. In fact, it's a subject which is really really rare, and for the literary world, it's a very new subject to grapple with. This is like spirituality in a fictional format. Usually we have spirituality offered to us in self-help books. So this is something very new in the literary society. Um, it's like for a very seasoned and evolving mind, and it's got a very niche audience. So it reverberates with fewer people. Unlike fantasy or other kinds of romantic fictions and all, this has got a fewer takers, but very very serious ones. Having said that, Kaivalya's response, acceptance, recognition has been really good, and I see that karma and reincarnation as concepts being offered to them on a platter, which they can relate to, and which they can easily uh, understand through the book, through the events that keep unfolding in the book. You can actually make sense of and get answers to whys in your own life as well. So I've got a lot of good acceptance and good reviews from people who have understood it in and who have been able to accept this genre and this style of writing.
So at least
I'm
you have
happy with the reception of the book.
right. So at least you have made some people who thought it was all fiction to at least give it a thought if it's actually fiction or something that we all, in a way or the other, possess.
Absolutely. Yeah, the first time I was told, I went to learn meditation, and I was actually exchanging notes on what I was going through while I was meditating all on my own, experimenting with it because I was really curious to know what it is all about. And that was really a long time back, probably about 12, 15 years back. And I was told that what I am experiencing is because of something that I have, done in my past life. My karmas in my past life is making me experience what I am experiencing. I was like, I looked at the guy, I thought he was crazy. How can somebody talk so normally about a reincarnation or a past life? And it just took me a lot of time to gulp down this, and slowly as things unfolded in front of me, it became a part of me that yes, this is the way it is. And I actually believe in what I write.
Interesting. So, and when I read your book, I personally felt that the book covers two different extremes altogether, like right from sufferings to finding Kaivalya through the characters that you have used in the book. For me, before I picked up the book, I wasn't sure what to expect from the book because the only Kaivalya that I had heard of was a colleague that I thought it's a name. So, how a lot of people give the main character's name to the book. Maybe I thought it's the protagonist of the book. But then when I read it, I realized it's a different thing. So if in a nutshell, or if in a very short sentence, if you would like to explain our audience right now what exactly Kaivalya is, and is Kaivalya the protagonist of the book or the characters that you have developed?
Okay, I'll start with a little definition. I hope you don't find it boring because Kaivalya, for me, I split it into two parts. It's Kaivalya, it's only this. So, going by experiences of any human being, we all know that we are yearning for something more and something more in our life. It's not that today I have the job that I dreamt of and I'm happy, or I'm married to the person that I have always wanted to be with and I'm completely happy. So we're always looking for something more in life, and that search really never ends. So I started wondering long time back, what is it that will finally put a stop to this, that this is it, I don't want to look beyond. And that is when the concept of Kaivalya really sunk in, that this is what will stop all the yearnings and stop all the longings and desires and the yearnings that a human has. They will find solace in this one realization, and that is the realization which I call Kaivalya. And this is not really the name of any person or any protagonist in the book. It is
Right.
it is the name of a concept.
Right.
So
Yes.
yeah, the concept, and which the in Sanskrit we do have the explanation for Kaivalya.
Right. So that was a interesting way of looking at it as well, like Keval. So I didn't realize that while I was reading, but I've added it to my vocabulary now, and I will exactly know how to pronounce it. Now, for similar on the further to the answer that you have just given. So, did you plot the entire story, as in you knew, like as you mentioned, like you came across this concept of Kaivalya, and the idea was very nice. So, did you actually plot everything around it, or you had a narrative in mind and then you tried to fit the concept of Kaivalya in it to write that story?
Time that I was attending a discourse at a center, Ananda Sangha Center. This is Paramahansa Yogananda's, center for learning meditation. And I was
Right.
attending a spiritual discourse, and there was uh, there was a statement which was made during the discourse where Paramahansa Yogananda says that if there is anything that you don't yearn to do in this life, for example, even if it's all those negative things like drinking or abusing or looting, plundering, anything that you're not inclined to do in this life, it is because you have already done it in a past life and you know that it does not work. That is
Okay.
something which really grabbed my attention at that point in time, and I started to wonder, what all have I done in my past lives, because by that time I had come to terms with having past lives. And I was I was really stoned to think that I've looted, I've murdered, I've killed, and that's why I don't want to do any of this now. I don't want to
Okay.
sit and booze away, and I don't want to do all those things because I've
Right.
already done them in a past life. I know that they don't work, so I'm looking for something else now. So so that the thought of Mansi as the protagonist going through all those things in her past lives, a lot of negatives and positives which she has done, and what they bring to her in
Right.
her current life and in the next ones, that idea just caught on, and then it just kept rolling out.
I think that
So
has
that's
wonderfully
how
come
yeah,
across. Yes, that has wonderfully come across
thank you so
the
much.
book. I'm
Thank you
not
so
sure how many uh, people who are currently participating here in the conversation have read the book, but I recommend everyone to read it and understand all these things that ma'am is speaking about, especially the Cavalier concept. So this is a second book, ma'am, that you have published, and I have been fortunate to read both the books that you have written so far. That is "Let Go of Me" and "Kaivalya." I would like to ask you a question that I asked you even when I interviewed for the first time. How does it feel to be a published author for the second time? Is the feeling same as the first time? Is it different? Is it a feeling that okay, I have achieved something and I know I can achieve more? How does it feel to be a published author for the second time with book getting such rave reviews?
Kaushal, I would stay by what I said earlier, that I have I have just done it, what I was supposed to do and what I felt that I had to do. I did it, and that's the end of it. I just let it go. And after that, I just sit, be balanced and calm. And I really don't think too much about what I've already done. In fact, I have so many other things to think about, that what I need to
Right.
do now, next, to build on this, that I don't really get time to think about what I've already done and whether I did it well or whether I didn't do it well. It's just done and over with, and I need to do more. So that's the feeling I had earlier. That's the feeling I have now. So it's still the same balanced, calm feeling. And yes, I'm looking forward to do a lot more, but I'm not jumping around because I'm published or my work has found recognition. It's found acceptance. It's a good feeling, and the best feeling is that if the book needs to reach some people and make a difference to somebody's life, like the review I received in the morning saying that I wish I'd read this 10 years back. So if that is the way I can touch a life in a positive way and bring some strength and some calmness to it, I think my work is done. I've achieved what I wanted to achieve.
So there is Bhavna who has just commented saying that she has already read Cavalier. There is also Aditya who said that he has read. Now on a lighter note, if in the next life would you still be an author?
I really don't know what I'm going to be in the next life, but I definitely hope, and this is just for that I hope that I don't have to elongate it further and further and further. I'm looking for my Kaivalya now.
Right. And coming to again writing this to books, since they are some or the other way on the similar lines but completely different stories, was the approach for both the books same or different? How did you go out writing those stories, like you mentioned about discovering or finding out certain pointers during the session that you had during the spiritual discourse? So was the approach for both the books same, or did you find some other hook points to continue writing those stories and convey the message?
I think the approach for both the books has been different. They came from very different perspectives, I think.
Okay.
Because in one case, the in the first book, Let Go of Me, that talks about a single life which is entrenched in a lot of emotions, which is trying to find a balance in the kind of turmoil that she finds herself in. So that is basically very entrenched in one single life. However, Kaivalya, I find myself at a little bit of distance from one single life, because there I'm talking about 7 lives, and each of those 7 lives is as important as any of the others. And
Okay.
so I find myself a little distant from that one single life, if you know what I mean. So which
Got it.
which is a good thing for me, because getting entrenched into a life and then stepping away, trying to be an observer and looking at it from a different perspective is like a stepping stone for me. So the approach has been different. The approach has been a little more hands off in Kaivalya, where I've had to
Okay.
deal with a lot of lives, and in Let Go of Me, it was just one life. So yes,
Right.
the Kaivalya has been a more liberating experience, I would say.
Right.
Although
And again,
Let
in
Go of Me had to
Kaivalya,
get
there is
out.
a constant back and forth between different centuries, the characters
Yes,
moving and coming back from different centuries. So the setup has to be different.
yeah.
Right. I think we have spoken too many things about the book right now. Just to slightly deviate the topic, I would like to understand, how do you usually spend your day, and what is your most favorite part of it? Is it writing? Do you write daily? So, how do you spend your day usually?
Um, I would say that although technically looking at my day, you'll find that it's more or less, a routinized kind of a day where I'll get up and I exercise, and there are a lot of other activities in the house which I take care of. I read, I write, I listen a lot. So, but externally speaking, it's the same day, but internally, inside, I'm doing something different every day. So no 2 days are the same for me, really. They're
Okay.
both very different. And yes, uh, yeah, I mean, basically, yeah, I have a plethora of activities lined up for me: meetings, teaching, reading, writing. Uh, so it goes on and on and on. So a day has all of them, and I enjoy everything that I do, and that's why I do them. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing them.
Right, right, absolutely. And so, ma'am, we are connected on social media, and I see you often posting about health in general, how important it has been a part of your daily life, your routine, and how much it helps you in your writing. Do you consciously work out or take health and fitness as a part of it, or I mean, does it help you stay, what we say, like you mentioned, calm and centered? Is that the reason?
I wasn't able to hear the last part of your question.
Was asking that, I mean, my question, I'll just repeat it. Is saying that I see you often posting about exercise or health in general. And so, how important is it a part of your routine, and how much it helps you with your writing? Do you consciously do it, or, I mean, to stay fit, relevant in terms of your calmness and centered part that you just spoke about?
Okay, so I started my exercising schedule some, I think, 15 years back, where I started with a lot of functional training and running. I was running some half marathons as well, and I was
Okay.
very passionate about running. And gradually from there, it went on to, in the gym, you get used to lifting weights, and I realized that I can lift a lot of weights, and I really started enjoying that. I'm still doing it. That was in the pre-pandemic times, and now I have a home gym where I was earlier training people also. Some people used to come over and I was training people with their workouts. But now I'm doing my own workouts all alone on my own, which is also very, very liberating. And
Okay.
consciously, yes, I do work out consciously. I do work out in a very regimented way because I think I really enjoy it, and two, because I think a lot of mental activity that I'm into really requires a balancing somewhere, so I need to get into heavy physical activity as well to just keep myself, as you said, balanced and calm and centered. So yes, I need to do it, and I enjoy doing it. So it's both ways.
Interesting. Interesting. So, ma'am, I've read both of your books, and I'm also privy to knowing that you're soon going to publish your third book. So, can you share some information about that, like what your next book is, what it is going to be with everyone here right now?
Yeah, my next book is going to be a very different one, very different from all these. Till now I've dealt with lives and people who are actually in this realm, but now I'm going to be talking about uh, life, also life in the physical realm, and then I'm going to be talking about death as is experienced experientially from the point of view of a person who is dying. After that, it goes on to life after death, and the most important question which this book is going to ask is liberation, what we call Kaivalya in my other book, is that really the final answer, or is there something else after that also? Is that the final resting place? Is that a place from where nobody really wants to come back, or is there something beyond that as well? And then this book really goes into a lot of different subjects, like it touches upon science fiction, it touches upon the overlap of spirituality and science. It talks about uh, you know the uh, the Shiva and Shakti and matter and energy,
Right.
and talks about the existence at the atomic level, quantum physics, things like that. And then it takes you into intergalactic travel, it takes you into science fiction, fantasy. So it touches upon a lot of aspects which I have not really dealt with earlier, but I'm finding that very, very fascinating, and I'm sure my readers will also find it very fascinating. And this one's going to be, although the subjects are very taboo, and like nobody wants to really talk about death, it is not comfortable. So this book talks about these subjects in a very uninhibited fashion, and helps people come to terms with the eventuality of death and the reality of death. So it's a difficult topic presented in an easier way, so that you can digest it easier and understand it better, and stop fearing it so much. you know and also, most important for me was the question which I pose in this book, and which I do try to answer, but I wouldn't say that that is the final answer, because I would like people with an evolved mindset, and people with whom this book starts to reverberate, I would like them to start thinking about whether liberation is actually the final answer, or there's more after that. So that is where this book comes up.
So, from the two, from what I've heard just now, I'm sure the third one is going to be very different. And as you mentioned, there are a lot of topics that will have a what we say, if we draw it on a pie chart, a lot of things overlapping each other, and how everything science fiction, or things like spirituality, or things like as you mentioned, Shiva Shakti, which have not been proven, but people believe in it, how things are going to come together. So how important is the knowledge of language for a writer? If I would ask you that would you suggest writing enthusiasts here who are participating right now to use language to impress the reader with their vocabulary or to simplify it and get their attention? So how would you guide them or tell them what is it that they should look at as far as the language, the knowledge of language is concerned?
Okay. Well, that's a very interesting question, I think, because I come up with this question while I teach creative writing also. So this is, you have to somewhere, I'm not trying to take the middle path here, but somewhere you have to balance between both these things while you're writing. You should know your subject very well. You should have researched your subject very well. Knowledge of your subject should be very good. And uh, having said that, the kind of language you use has to be comfortable for your reader. It should be simple so that your reader doesn't get lost in the complexity of the narrative. The narrative has to be, it should be, the reader should be able to absorb the narrative well. But you have to challenge the reader at certain points of time to go out of his or her comfort zone and try to, go to the next step and try to understand things from a different perspective, try to understand the complexities of the subject that you're talking about, and try to think more. Your reader is an intelligent person who wants to evolve further, and that is something that you have to consider. So he or she wants to know something new. He or she wants to get out of his or her comfort zone and try to delve into new areas. So you need to have a balance between your language, the vocabulary, the complexity of your expression, and the content that you're trying to deliver. And both should ignite something inside the reader to try to get him out of his the place where he is right now. He should be able to go a notch further.
Right. I asked that question purposely because I've seen a lot of people, I mean, from reviewers' point of view, that sometimes they criticize the author for not using too fancy words or using very simple words, saying that is it written for dumps or something like that, and some getting just inspired by some authors because they have used, say, some very high-level words, have used thesaurus.com and used alternatives, right? So that is why that question came to me, because I agree with you that as far as the language is simple and it questions the reader, the task is done. And another thing that I was just going through the comments, I see that there is Ravish Mani who has also read both of your books. He has shared the links to them about his reviews. So I am not the only one who has read both of your books.
Hello,
There is
Ravish.
also
It's
Ravish
very
over here.
nice. Yeah, very nice to have you here. Thank you for attending it. Thank you for being present here, Ravish. It's really nice to have you.
And we have Neeta Dua. She has just written enjoyed reading. I think she's speaking about Kaivalya itself. And there are some questions which I think we'll take at a later part. And there is Bhavna who is
Kaushal,
saying,
I'm leaving. I'm leaving. I'm not being able to hear you in between. I think there is some internet issue probably, or maybe something with the. Are you able to hear me clearly?
yeah, I can hear clearly. I think there is some internet glitch at your end because in between your sound is distorting, but it's coming through. I think it's
Okay.
temporary or momentary.
Okay.
And then we also have Bhavna. She has written, love the way of presenting such complex issues in simple form. So there are people who have really liked your work that you have done with Kaivalya.
Thank you so much. Thank
So
you, Bhavna.
yes. So we'll come back to a set of questions that I had for you. And there is that, as I mentioned, we are already connected on social media. So I've seen that you recently even took workshops, and one that I stood out or saw the video was about you taking some workshop for yoga instructors to interact with foreigners, rather communicate with foreigners and teach them the art. So is that something that you also do full time, or is there a course that you've designed that people can come in and join and learn that art of communication?
Okay. So there are actually two courses which I have designed recently, and one of them is about the communication for yoga teachers. Actually, there's a lot of talent in India which is really hidden away in pockets which are not really easily reachable. And these people are so abundant with their skill of asanas and performance, but they are not good with their communication skills. Instead of the Americans sending doga and beer yoga our way, I feel it's time that we send the pure and unadulterated form of
Right.
yoga
Right.
to them, which is very badly needed in their country, I believe. Uh, so this was a workshop which was offered to me by a company, American company, who were training picking up yoga teachers from all over India and trying to train them in English communication skills so that they're able to take online classes. And I really enjoyed doing this course with them. And this was a course I exclusively designed for that company. And I haven't
Okay.
done one after that. But
Okay.
uh, something that I'm doing regularly is creative writing classes for children. I
Okay.
really believe that the way we are going about these creative writing classes, it's really helping the kids develop a very good all-rounded perspective. They are becoming great speakers. They're becoming good listeners. They are reviewing each other's work in class. They are taking and giving feedback, receiving criticism, working to make their things better, presenting really great stuff in class. And it's making them also sensitizing them towards the other people, how other perspectives work. And also making them more sensitive towards diversity element, which is really missing in the school environment, because I feel that in school very similar kind of people come together, so you really don't get exposed to the diversity. And over here in these classes, since a lot of people come from various schools and various other backgrounds, we have a lot of diversity, and people are becoming very sensitized as collaborative learners. And so this is something that I've been doing for about 4 years now. And during the pandemic, we were forced to go online, and so I'm developing an online content for these workshops, which will go live in a while. And I'd love to have more and more students come in, take these classes, and become more well-rounded, more sensitized, comfortable, and dynamic individuals. That's the goal.
And creativity, I think, again, is very different. And creativity is more about perspective, because what you think creative may not be creative for someone else, or how you approach creativity. So if there is a base, or there is a way that someone can go through it and understand the process, maybe people will become what we say, it will be easier for people to explain what is it that they're trying to create, another thing. So I
Exactly. Yeah, so what I've noticed over the time that I've been teaching, that there are such interesting techniques to teach, people to think creatively, think parallel, think out of the box, and think very intricately about any given topic. And when
right.
this thing is done repeatedly over time, it becomes a trait of the individual to start observing things more intricately, to start, even body language of a person who's walking, how he or she is walking. We need to study that. As an author, you need to be, as any artist, you need to be very sensitive towards how people talk, walk, look. And by reading that body language, you get very sensitized towards the whole world around you. So trying to learn how to write creatively, how to draw creatively, how to be creative, and teaching certain skills to children will make them very, very well rounded
Right.
adults. I've been writing about this subject because I really feel passionately about it.
Right.
And you can read some of my blogs. I've been writing about this.
On your website, or ektasaigalpandit.com.
Yeah, they're available on my
Okay.
website, and otherwise on other guest posts also they're available. So I'll
Okay.
definitely share the
Okay.
links.
Okay. And this is for the audience. Like, if you have any questions, you can use your raise hand feature, or you can write in the chat box. We will shortly start taking the questions for Ekta ma'am. So, ma'am, continuing to the point about creative writing that we were talking about, I personally, I'm not sure I'm right or wrong, but I think there are two languages in which we think simultaneously, especially in India. Like right now, when I'm having a conversation with you, maybe I'm thinking in a different language and speaking in a different language. So maybe there is sometime the lag or that we do is because of that. So are there any tips that you would like to share with anyone on how to develop better conversation skills, or how to mitigate this gap between thinking language and speaking language, or any other tips about creative writing that you would like to share with everyone before we open up for questions?
I think talking and thinking for everybody doesn't happen at the same time. Some people think very fast and they talk slower, or they synchronize. Some people talk very very fast. So it's an individual trait how you talk. The only thing is that you should be talking about subjects or writing about subjects or communicating about subjects that you are passionate about. And definitely there should be a lot of research going into whatever subjects you're talking about, and trying to uh, bring out the things, putting them into context so that they can touch a life, they can enhance a life positively. You must be able to talk about subjects that you have experienced, that things that you have experientially gone through. I think that's really something that I feel for writing, that if you have experientially gone through something and you want to share it and bring a new perspective out, people are very receptive to it. Of course, you have to present it in a good way, you have to present it in a well-rounded way, and for that, as far as writing goes, creative writing goes, there is a lot of grounding which is needed, groundwork which is needed
Right.
to bring out the content that you want to present
Right.
in a way that people are able to chew on and people are able to internalize. So you need to do your research work well, and you need to feel passionately about the topic that you're talking on. And of course, even if you have those gaps in between, I'm sure everybody is okay with it. We are not machines, so we
Right.
can think and talk at different paces and still find
Right.
acceptance.
Right. I think you have partially answered one of the questions that Ramakant had in the chat. His question was, would you describe writing a book as tiring or energy? How do you deal with emotions which aren't always positive? So I think you have partially answered this question, that as far as you have done your research work properly and you are passionate about the topic that you're writing about, it shouldn't be a tiring experience. And maybe you can answer the second half of it. How do you deal with emotions which aren't always positive?
How do you deal with emotions which aren't always positive? I think emotions, I take emotions to be a form of energy now. In fact, I take life to be a form of energy, and emotions are also a form of energy, and that energy gets translated into the kind of vibrations that I have. So finally, that vibration defines who I am at this point in time. If I am internalizing emotions in such a way that they are having a negative impact on me, I'm spoiling my own vibration at that point in
Right.
time.
Right.
Yes, it does affect all of us at some point or the other. A negative thought coming our way or a negative comment coming our way. But I try to keep it as short-lived as possible. And as you try to understand your own energy system and you're able to deal with it, you are able to also deal with a negative thought or emotion that comes your way, and you have the power of just pushing it aside and not letting it really spoil your vibration at that point in time. Because I feel vibration is the way you experience life and the way you experience the world around you. Your vibration defines you. So why let anybody from outside mess up
Right.
with the negativities and the negative
Right.
emotions? Yeah.
Right. Right. I think so. We will start taking up the questions from the audience now. There are a few. Let me just go through the chats if there are any, or else we can ask Ansh to let people who have raised their hands to ask the questions themselves. There are some appreciations for your wonderful writing initiatives, engaging conversation that we are having. So people are appreciating that, appreciating
Thank you
you
so
for that.
much.
Yes. Yes. So Ansh, are there any people who have raised hands? Maybe we can bring them on screen, or we
Yeah,
can ask them
yeah,
to
Mr.
ask
Gupta.
questions.
Yeah, so I'll probably unmute Aparna Jha. You just need to allow your mic and video once I click that. And then you should be able to come on video and ask the question. I just allowed you. In the meantime, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to raise hand. Or you can also post the question in the chat.
I think Aparna is not here yet in terms of allowing the mic and video access properly.
In the meantime, maybe I would take this opportunity to ask one of my questions.
Sure.
So, ma'am, I think you answered the first part of the question. The second was somebody, let's say, who is into a full-time commitment. Maybe that's not writing.
I think we lost Ramakant's connection. So I'm just going to take the opportunity also.
Given that you have transitioned from real estate to this one.
Ramakant, can you please repeat your question? I think the connection dropped.
Okay, so yeah, so my bad. So I was asking, so since you have transitioned your career from real estate to writing, let's say somebody like me, I'm not sure I can ever be a writer, but given that I would want to be, maybe tomorrow I want to start something on my own, but I understand that is my full-time commitment during the week. So how do I start about going or writing something about it?
How do I could you just repeat that? It just got garbled. What you're asking me? Real estate writing, I followed. After that, I didn't follow.
So my question is, I want to, let's say, write something in the future, but I'm not really finding the time to write it. So how do I do that transition, or what's the best suggestion or advice you would give me?
Okay. I was not a writer always. Earlier, I used to just write for myself. Before Let Go of Me happened, I was just writing tidbits for myself here and there. What I always used to do, and I still do now, is that whatever fleeting thought I have or something interesting that I have, I do take the time out to put it into some, some writing format, so that later in time, fleeting thoughts can just go and they can get lost anywhere. But if you have a little bit written somewhere, those things come back to you completely when you go through that little 2 sentences written down, or a couple of words here and there that you write down. You should always make a few notes here and there to you remember what you should be writing on. And as far as my real estate career goes, I think I really don't see a difference between that and my teaching and my writing. It's all like, again, a flow of energy for me. Real estate, when I was sitting and making plans the whole day, I used to just work on one piece of one big board. And then later when AutoCAD started, I was working on the computer on one screen. I used to work the whole day, and it used to have massive information of all the plans and drawings, all the walls and everything, designing and everything. So it used to be like a jigsaw puzzle for me. What is the way that I fit in all these requirements into one piece of paper, one plan, so that it fits perfectly, and I can, the client is happy, and everything is sorted, and everything feels balanced, and everything looks great and feels good. And that is what I do with my writing also, that it is like a jigsaw puzzle for me still, that all the pieces need to fit in, and everything needs to be balanced, and everything needs to be really good and clear, and it should feel good to me. And same with teaching also. So it has to fit in. It has to fit in well. It has to make sense. It has to feel complete and right. And when it feels complete and right is when I feel satisfied and I keep doing it. So that discordant feeling should go away. And please do keep taking notes of whatever fascinates you, charms you in your daily life, things that are different, or even the mundane things that do capture you for a long time, to write about them in tidbits here and there. And if it's in you, and if that seed has to sprout, it will somehow. You will not be able to hold it back.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, ma'am.
I have a similar question. So I have seen that.
Any other
Anyone
questions?
else?
Yeah,
For
this is
me, no. Okay.
this is Bhavani. Can I ask one question here? Uh, in lines with what Ramakant was asking here. So I have seen that I have written a lot of blogs, but I've never been able to publish them. So I have this concept of procrastination. Like I would keep it there for several days and always try to make it perfect before publishing. So how do you work around this aspect of writing? Like how that you always want something to be perfect before you publish? Because this is a constant challenge that a lot of us have who really want to write a book one day.
Okay, so you've touched a very a question or a something which I can relate to very closely, because when Let Go of Me was happening, and I was writing just for myself, as I mentioned before. Let Go of Me happened, and I was never ready. I knew that I want to get published someday, but not now. I was procrastinating like you are. And then finally, one fine day, I thought that this will never get published and this will never happen, and I will die without doing this. And I'll feel really bad, and I'll come back the next life again to write a book. So it doesn't make sense. So I need to just, plunge into the unknown. I need to just embrace the unknown and just go and do it. Even if it's not perfect right now, it's okay. You know, uh, for example, take this event today. If I would wait for everything to be perfect and everything to be just right, I think I would never have it. We would never be talking across the screen. So life is never perfect. Your work might not be perfect, but if it has the strength to touch somebody's life positively and bring a good change, strengthen somebody, I think you are being a coward, sorry about saying it, if you're not going ahead and doing it. So you just need to go out there and you need to embrace the unknown. You just need to delve into it. There is no other way about it. And that's what I feel from the core of my heart, that if I need to share something with the world, even if it's not in the perfect format, if it's in a good format which I can present to the world, I should go and do it. So I think I'm going to be reading quite a few of your blogs very soon.
Thank you for
I'm
that
looking forward to
motivation.
them.
That really helps. There is just one more question I have is so you have written books, those are very immersive, right? Sometimes as an author, you have a thought in your mind. It's like a painting. You craft it, you put a lot of creativity, a lot of emotions, life into it. Now, when as a reader I read it, I understand it differently. Have you ever been surprised, like how people really thought differently and how it really impacted them?
Yes, I because no two perspectives are alike, no two minds are alike. So definitely, the world, the way you experience it, is different from the way I experience my world. So I do get very different perspectives on what people thought after reading my work. But all that is very welcome. I wrote it with a perspective, but if you read it, and you found a different meaning from it, that is still very welcome. You're experiencing your world from a different point of view. So two people can share the same point of view, and I think that is a uniqueness we need to celebrate in each of us. And I think we need to applaud that, because that's why we exist as a world. Because if all of us had the same point of view, I think we'd be a very boring place to be in.
Thank you. We'll take some more questions that are there.
There is one from Ritvik. I'll just read out his question on his behalf. He's asking, I am particularly interested in knowing if Kaivalya is a work of fiction, or in your research did you actually come across people who have had past life experiences?
Okay, Ritvik, Kaivalya is a work of fiction, and I have heard of people experiencing their past lives, in dreams or visions. But I have never personally experienced past life on my own. But going by my meditation, my daily practice, and a very strong innate sense inside me, I do believe that there are past lives. Otherwise, there would be no answers to the questions that we are faced with, to the experiences that we get. And I think it's a very, very, very evolved concept to embrace, because what it does is, it gives you the full responsibility of your own life and tells you that your life is your own making, and what you have on your platter today is because of what you have sown in an earlier life. So you do not go around blaming other people for what you have with you today in your life. So you take responsibility, act more responsibly now, because if you don't, you are the one who will be paying for it. So remember that, go by it. Whether you believe in reincarnations right now or not is not the question, but it is a philosophy that a lot of people believe in, and I think we need to respect that. Okay, so whether you right now are able to conceptualize it or not, internalize it or not, is a different thing altogether. Read it with an open mind, and you will be able to receive much more from whatever that book has to offer and whatever that concept has to offer. Okay, any other
Thanks, ma'am.
questions?
I think Ritvik, okay, Ritvik has already commented. He says, "Thank you, ma'am." I think he has. I think he's in alliance with what he have just mentioned. So there is another message from. It's not a question, but Kali Bhargavi has done. I appreciate that the author is dealing with some complex subjects in an engaging yet simple story-like manner. So this is an appreciation for you. And the next message is from Reeti Kulsresht. She has written wonderful initiative, engaging conversation, superb work. Wishing many more accolades your way. Best wishes. So these
Thank
two
you so
people have
much.
sent you wishes for your work. Kali
Thank you.
Bhargavi and Reeti Kulsresht.
Thank you, Kali. Thank you, Riti.
So Ansh Ramakant, are there any other questions? Because I don't find any more in the chat. Are there any people who have raised their hands? So maybe we can take those questions and ma'am can answer them.
Yeah, just
Anybody wants to raise hand and come on video, please do so by clicking on raise hand. We'll unmute you now. I see that Bhavna, you had raised hand.
yeah, just allowed you. You just allow your mic, and then you should be able to come on video and audio.
So we still have some time. So if you have any questions, you can ask in the chat box, or else we can ask Ansh or Ramakant to conclude this conversation.
Yes, sure. If there are no more questions, I'd like to actually take this opportunity to play a um, short video of the first book of Mrs. Pandit. Let me share my screen quickly to play the video. Let me know once you can see my screen. Can
Yes,
you?
Ramakant, we can see. Yes, we can see. We can hear you, Ramakant, but I think there is some issue with the video being played.
An internet issue with probably my setup.
There is some issue with the video being played. Anyways, we have got another question from Bhavna. She's saying, would your next book be focusing on completely we deal with in our present life?
I didn't get that. Could you please repeat that question?
Yeah, the question, I'll just read it out. Would your next book be focusing on complexity we deal in our present life?
Um, this is not going to be a book that deals with complexities in our present lives. It's going to be a book which deals with the complexity of existence in itself. You know, the how complicated existence is in itself, and is there a way to escape the existence altogether? So that is the issue that I'm dealing with. And you know, even after a person gets liberated and gets moksha, is that the end of it all, or is there another story that unfolds after that? You know, so it is not really just about this life. It is about life as we know it now, life, you know, death as the life experiences it, life after death, and then uh, liberation. And is that the end of it all, or is there more after liberation? So that is what this book is going to be uh, delving into. So it's going to be a very, very different and fresh concept. It's totally unlike any other work that I have done or I have ever read. So anyway, my whatever I'm writing is not really something that people have ever tried to write, because it's a very, 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 very niche area. Spiritual fiction is not really there out there in the literary world at all, and it's a new thing completely that I'm dealing with, and I'm sure it's a new concept that you are also reading.
I'm sure, I hope, Bhavna, that answers your question. So, Ramakant, are you playing the video or we can just look at the question? Okay. Thanks, Rovani, for playing that. It went through properly. So, ma'am, I found these two questions interesting by Ritvik Mehrotra and Bhavna Malik. So can we announce them as the winners and they can get the copies of your books?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So Bhavna Malik, so I hope I'm getting the name right. Yeah, Bhavna Malik and Ritvik Mehrotra. Maybe if you guys can share your email address with Ansh, or I mean, how do they share their email address? Can they just send
They
it to
can,
someone, to Bhavani or Ansh somehow?
yeah, they can leave it in the chat, private chat, and we can have the book
Okay.
sent to them.
Okay, okay. So Bhavna and Ritvik, please share your email addresses so that someone from the team can reach out to you and get you one of ma'am's book delivered as just for. And you had asked interesting questions actually, both of you. So ma'am, there are no further questions as such. Bhavna has shared her email. Maybe I'll just copy and or Ramakant just can take a note of it and that can be. Okay, so Bhavna is saying she still has one question. Okay, Bhavna, if you can quickly ask and so that we can wind up as well. Please go ahead, Bhavna. I guess she's typing. Bhavna's question is: can the karma cycle be altered?
I think you've read the book, Bhavna, and if you are aware of what um, you are doing, you're an aware participant in life and not a compulsive performer, like, you're just compelled to do something and you go ahead and just do it without being an observer to yourself, then the karmic cycle is never going to end. The karmic cycle can be taken into your own hands only after you become an observer of your own actions, your own emotions, whatever you're going through, which means that you have to just distance yourself a little bit from your own person as an individual. Distance yourself a little bit and observe yourself. When you start observing yourself, is the point that you realize that this is just another life operating in this ecosystem. Once you get to know that, the compulsiveness of your actions goes away and you become a more evolved and a more aware performer. Then you're doing things, you're still doing everything that you're supposed to do, but you're not invested into it, you're not obsessed with it, you are involved with it from a distance. So if you can uh, get onto that level, is the time that you can take the karmic cycle into your own hands and you can beat the whole system that we are trapped into. I hope that answers a bit of what she's asking me.
I hope it does. Maybe she can confirm by commenting. Yeah, she has written thank you, ma'am. So I think it suffices. So I would like to thank you, ma'am, for addressing the questions that we posed at you and answering them very candidly. Uh, Apart from reading both of your books, I even learned a few things from you today. So that is going to help me and also add to my knowledge. So I'd like to thank you for participating in this and thank you everyone for joining in the session. Maybe Ramakant or someone from Next Level can close the session. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Babani. Thank you so much, Kaushal. I am writing another book and it's going to be available very soon. And I would love to be on this platform again and share my views and thoughts with everyone. And the next book is going to be, I think, very easy to read for most people. Bits and pieces of it will be difficult, but most of it will be simple. So I look forward to a larger audience and a lot of interactions. Love being here. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you, Ramakant. Thank you, Ansh. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Team Next Huddle. And thank you, all the participants, all the audience.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. Thank you.